is this, and then oof. Finally back to some new motions. No more macOS 26 bullshit bugs to take care of. And this one I never did it because I build KV for my own needs to code mostly. Not mostly, but I barely use the sentence moves. But I can see how if you're like a writer, then if you're a writer, then it makes sense to be able to delete, change sentences. So usually there's gonna be a couple of moves. Like I have something for paragraphs. So paragraphs are already done. KV accessibility strategy, and for AP, yes. So a paragraph is that's visual and normal. So like change a paragraph, change the inner paragraph, delete a paragraph, delete inner paragraph, and yank, of course, and the visual. So visual inner paragraph and visual paragraph. And the reason why those ones are done is because I use them a lot. So for example, if I want to get rid of this, actually that's not even fully true because it depends. More like for stuff like this. But when it comes to sentences, I don't need. So for paragraph, there's a couple of. Oh, so wait, how do I explain this? So there's motions to move to the next paragraph. Can count paragraph forward and count paragraphs backward. So those moves are implemented as well as all the other paragraphs one. But for the sentences, I only implemented those ones to move around, but not to delete an inner, because it's a little bit different. Inner sentence, a sentence, and like moving to the next sentence. Calculations are like very different. And so the first thing I wanted to do before working on those moves, so like here CAS, CIS, DS, etc., was to check. And the thing I need to do all the time when I develop motions, which is the most fun, and that's what happened during the first 2 years of developing Canavim, from 2020 to 2022. It was like full time on this, and this is like really, really, really fun. This year, or at least last year, was much less fun because basically it's been a lot of work to go around macOS 26 bugs and like reports to Apple. So that was like kind of the worst year of work, very tired at the end of the, like it ended, I think some weeks ago, even last week. Still doing stuff for, okay, the many icons, but that was not a bug, but like, yeah, a lot of last month, until last month, a lot of bugs to take care of. Had all fucked up or so. In their latest SDK panel. So they, because I've been talking to them for like several years, because users would get their canceled licenses exactly here, returned as expired, and some also had paid and it didn't work. And then what they did is like they fixed this, and then they fucked up something. I think improvement machine identifier collection more reliable. But then they made a release the same day and they changed the way they identify devices. So it fucked up a lot of licenses that couldn't be renewed every month. That was just shit. So this year or last year has been quite tricky, not very interesting work. I mean, that's not free true. It's still a lot of fun thing to do, but there's still way more shit work than I used to have, which was like almost none. So yes, going back to new motions, which is like really really fun, and it builds like it builds every time you add a motion. It takes a few weeks of work and research. That's what I'm going to talk about, like the process of working on those moves. And but once you add a move, it's done. Like it's gonna last. It's really like a very very solid brick that you add to KV. Because I mean, when I add a move, it has to be added for the accessibility strategy. So when we can read and write the text, and when we cannot write the text, and for like places where we cannot even read the text. But once all of this is done, the move is done. So it's like really, really pleasurable. You know, you're not gonna have to undo the thing like a few months later. And if you have a bug, then you create a test to show the bug, and then you fix it, and then all the previous tests you want them to pass, and then it means that you may not have fixed all the issues, but at least you have one less. So it always feels like you're improving, progressing. So it's very nice. So yeah, the first thing when I have new moves is I need to go through the docs, Vim docs, and definitely try them, because there's a lot of things that are not in the docs edge cases, and there's also a lot of the explanation that is wrong in the docs. So you need to really check how does that work. And for that case, so I knew I already had the moves to go to the next sentence. So that's what I was trying, like this. And of course, go in the code and see like so beginning of next sentence backward. And this is where I had some questions, because so it took a few days to research. Like there's this thing of I have beginning of sentence backward and beginning of sentence forward, which seems to make sense, right? So let's do something more simple. Some kind of fun. So so if I press the key to go to sentence forward. So we saw it's the parenthesis forward, right? So it goes to the beginning of the next sentence. If we use the opposite, it goes to the beginning of the previous sentence. And when I'm checking the code, I'm like, okay, well, what about the paragraphs? Because the paragraphs are done. This is moving with the paragraphs. So I want to see, right? It kind of works the same. It seems like, okay, paragraphs backward, paragraphs forward. And then I check paragraph, and so I have the code for a paragraph. Then I have the code for the inner paragraph. And then I have beginning of paragraph backward and end of paragraph forward. So this is not beginning of paragraph forward, but we have beginning of sentence forward. So some things feels a little off. So I had to test again to understand if my function names are wrong, or my understanding is wrong, or my remembering is wrong, or what is going on here. And so the easiest way is to add some text. So, and to check paragraphs. So move to paragraphs. What is a paragraph? So paragraph begins after each empty line and also at each of a set of paragraph macros. So we don't care about these. A section boundary is also a paragraph boundary. Note that the blank line only containing white space is not a paragraph. Also note that, okay, so basically it's like text separated by empty lines. So let's add some empty lines. Okay, and now let's do some more, and like, let's check. So now I'm gonna move to the next paragraph. Okay, so it's not at the beginning of a paragraph, because this, if that was at the beginning, it would come here, not here. So it is, what it does, it's this moves to the end of a paragraph. So that's why I have this called end of paragraph forward here. But if we go the opposite way, it works differently. So, okay, it ends at after a paragraph, after, but the opposite, it goes at the beginning of the paragraph. So like different positions. So that thing is a bit tricky. So paragraph backwards and paragraph forwards, they're not the opposite of each other, actually. They work differently. One goes at the beginning and one goes at the end. Okay, so that was why I used those like two different type of function names. But it seems that for the sentence, they are both beginning of sentence backward and forward. So and they are. So that was my first question. Okay, well, my first research. Okay, now I understand why I call those things those ways. Yeah, and once I'm clear with this, so the next thing is, okay, can I use those beginning of sentence backward and beginning of sentence forward to build the inner sentence and a sentence? Or do I have to do a full new thing on its own? But then I tried a little bit more, because there's something there is more. Like if you go at the end of the sentence, or like beginning of sentence forward, the same thing happens as the paragraph. You end up here, but if you go in the opposite way, you end up here and not here. So that is kind of strange. And those are like empty lines. But what about if I add blank lines? So this is sentence. Okay, that's very different. What about the paragraph? Yeah, same. And then we see that, okay, what is a sentence? It's defined as ending as a dot, exclamation mark, interrogation followed by either end of line or a space or a tab, followed by either the end of a line or a space of a tab. Can we have several? No. That's like, it seems that it's only one, but can we have, is it considered like, where is it after the dot and a space, or no, it's after several? Okay, so this is several here, not just one, not by a space, but it could be several spaces closing and then okay. A paragraph is also a sentence boundary, so that's the thing. The thing that this is calculate sentence, and here we're reaching the end of a paragraph. So then that's why it stops here. Not because it's the beginning of the sentence, it's because it's the end of the paragraph. Same for here. Now we are at the beginning of a sentence. And same on the opposite way. So this is because that part here is the paragraph boundary, which is also a sentence boundary. So I played a little bit more with this to make sure that I got things correctly. And then I found that there was a bug in should stop on empty lines. But then I found later it was on the empty line. The problem was if you were ending with a dot or an exclamation mark, or because most of my tests are done on things that don't have on code. So we're supposed to stop, which we do now because I have the latest code fixed, but actually I'm gonna remove this. We're gonna do this. So we're gonna remove this. And then we're gonna accessibility strategies. This in some ways. File texts, and it's going to be beginning of sentence for this one, and then it's going to be this one. What? Oh, that's a new one. So it's that one that we want. Okay. Oh my god, what's happening here? Yes, that one. So next sentence from here, it stops. Nice. If you have a dot, it doesn't stop. So definitely something that's not working properly, because if we add this in Vim, yeah, it would stop. So first thing to do, like, okay, how we're gonna have to go here and then and here. So the first thing to do was to create a test for this, and that was a sentence of beginning forward, and that was dot, so it stopped. That's the test that I added to make sure that the bug was found, and then that it would get fixed after. So exactly, it's going at the wrong place. So the first idea was to add this here and see what was wrong. And at the time, the file texts, yes, that was the so if I'm adding some so if you end up with a /n/n, which is the paragraph boundary, then what I do is I get the lower bound, which is here, and I add the line feed character so that we end up in the right place. We're gonna end up here after. But else we take the upper bound, which is here. So that would work in if you have like two, like that would work here. That would not work. Because it's gonna be here. Because it's on. I've changed this also for another bug. So we can't test this. But basically, yes, it's gonna end up at the end of here, the upper bound. So what I had to make sure of was that we only get this, not the list of it's not really not the list, how do you call this? So we want to remove the /n. Okay. It would be a /n/n though. So that one is going to be round the lower bound plus, so here, exactly, that's where it goes. So now it goes here, the lower bound, and it adds the line feed length to end up here. So that was the part that needed here. So you have a dot or interrogation mark or exclamation mark plus possible whole list of these. Plus you need one or more white spaces except a line feed. You want tabs? That's not working either. You want tabs or spaces, but not line feed. So after this change, that probably makes 0 sense what I'm saying. So that was fixed, and that doesn't break any of the other tests regarding the sentence forward. But then later I found that there were other issues. Did I talk about this? On another bug, which was the blank lines and the empty lines. So that required more work. So it was here, empty line. So those were the new bugs found, which is what I was testing here earlier. So if you have something like this and you only have empty lines, then the next end of paragraph, and boom, beginning of next sentence. But if we have stuff here like only blank lines, this is considered as a paragraph. So we do stop here, and now it's gonna work because I've made the changes. Oh, but I need to recompile with the this one. Yes, so it does work. And that was a little bit more work here because this one, and this is a bit more work. And then I did find another issue today, and I'm recording this because it's gonna take way more time. I mean, that was me understanding the changes I have to make require me to think and to kind of speak out loud so that I can see, like I can crystallize what I have in my head, and that makes it easier for me to realize what I have to do. And so the issue here, there was also an issue of a pattern, but the problem is you have to see where this is when you're at the place that is a new line. So when you are a place like here, where is the next thing? And the next thing is going to, in this case, it's going to be here. But what about if I have, exactly, what about if I have spaces? Then the next point is going to be here, which is the upper bound plus 1 character length, which is what we have here. Actually, with the lower bound. This the lower bound here. Sorry, lower bound plus the length of the character plus a character, yeah. Because it's going to stop. Plus the value of the character at the lower bound. Shouldn't it be? It can be a space. That's why we have to do this. Yes, because that can be a space, or that can be that can be a space, or that can be a tab. That is the issue. Yeah, exactly. And they don't have the same length, so that's why we need this here. It's the lower bound plus the size of this character, which is a space or a tab, plus a line feed, so that we end up here. So that works. We can see it here. It stops at the paragraph here, the end of the paragraph. So this is I thought that was working, but then today I thought about another case, which is, I don't remember. There's space before a line feed. Yeah, so if we have space before a line feed, like here. No, so that one, yeah, exactly. This is where it fails here. So if we're on blanks, it works, but if we're not on blanks, then it stops here. And it should stop one character after, so in the next line. And the issue here, so this is what I'm thinking now. The issue here is gonna be I think the issue is that in those two cases, so whether I'm on a line feed or not, this part, the /n/n, this is not really to calculate purely the sentence boundary. This is for the paragraph boundary. So I'm trying to do in one regular expression both the rules for like a sentence and the rules for a paragraph. And this is too complicated. And we already have the one of the paragraph. So this is where we have the end of paragraph thing. So I can use this to get, so yeah, okay, so this is what we're gonna do here. That means like here we're supposed to want to be able to actually want to be able to have a slash. So that's not gonna work because yes, we need to separate this. And one slash this is white space. White space. So why plus some white space? Wait, what am I missing here? It was just this? Not even. What? Oh, those. But this one is going to be an issue with here. Exactly. We need, it has to be at least one. So I think we need to separate. Anyway, that wasn't the, wait, the that was if we're on a blank or a new line. So that was the spaces, yes. So actually it wasn't that one. It was this one, okay. And here it needs to stop. So that was when we are on a character that can be a blank or a new line. So this should show up, and that's where that should help, right? Yeah. But we're gonna have the same what issue? We're gonna have the issue with this. Okay, so that bug was solved. That bug of the blanks lines and empty lines was solved by this, and by calling the one before. Wait, was this one? Yes. Rather than testing on an empty line or blank line, is only if there's a new line. If it's a blank line, then we behave like if we were on a white character, a white space, then we behave like if we were on a letter. So that's digital. So that works. So this code looked okay until this thing of what about if I add spaces after a dot? So this is something, hello, that should be split. Okay, so let's take this one. So that works, but now that doesn't work anymore because this is considered different matches. So it's going to come here. Oh, that's a /n/n, but that one wouldn't be a /n. That one would work, but this one wouldn't work. Which is what we are having. Okay, so hey, hello. What about if we do? So that one works, but if we remove this, that works. But if we add spaces, that works. That doesn't work. Once if we're on the blank space, yes, it works, which is the one above. But if we're here, then it fails. Yeah, so there's, I mean, the issue, so it can be a, so that's where we need to split. This is getting too complicated here. And what we need here is to test if there's exactly. So there has to be a dot or this, which can be many number of times or none at all. And then we need something that is a white space but not line feed, like here. So this is a white space. This could be tab, another line feed, and then we need a one line feed or like 0, because like 0 here. Right? If we remove this, then that's not gonna grab this one. So that's it. But then we can't have the /n/n because this is gonna break later. And we have to do this. This is gonna break some other cases. And let's try it down. Okay. Wait, this is KVs. It's not the testing. So let's run those tests. all pass. I didn't add the one with the dot though, but that should pass also then. It feels like too easy to pass though. Okay, so let me do the discard change. It's not an empty, it's the normal setting. Dot 29. What is 29? So now we want it at here. 52. 29 was that works actually. 29, and then we want it here at 59. This should fail. And now that should pass. There's some other things that should fail. No way that this is this. Something else that was breaking. Has to be another bug if there's a space after before and before line feed. Or maybe it's because of the fix forward. We need to fix backward, and that's gonna be a big problem also. That's why I want to split. I want to use the I think I should use the beginning of paragraph and end of paragraph. So basically what I should, okay, wait, which one? Let's try this now. So now it works. What about we have many of them? Works. What about we have stuff like this here? Works. So that one works. Why do I feel that it shouldn't fully work? But that should still be, that's what I had here. Why did I feel that it's not going to work properly? So you want one or more things except and then after that you may want /n/n. Seems to work. It's not here, that's this one. Character location if it's a line feed. So what about, is that correct? That's correct. What about if I'm here? Works. It works the same. But if I'm line feed, it seems to be working. Don't remember. This is gonna be more complicated. Suffix. Some case should be failing here. Which one? What I want to do is separate the separate. So we test this, which is for the sentence, and then we get, okay, where's the next sentence? And let's say like a next sentence location start is end up being 40. And then we test, let's n of paragraph forward equal n of paragraph forward started at location. Yes. And then we test if the end of paragraph is actually before the next sentence location, then we have to go to the end of the paragraph forward because the paragraph boundary happened before the sentence boundary. If not, then we go to the sentence boundary. So that would allow us to remove this, and that would make things easier, and especially here. And same for like here and here, because that's not like, this is also skipping the blank lines. But I was planning to test this after. I'm finishing with the sentence forward, but I know already we can see it already here. Like the next sentence now stops properly here, but the previous doesn't. It skips the middle. But this, I'm surprised that this one is working. It has to be some place where this is gonna... So what about this? No, because that's the end. that's where the issue is. That should be it's because of this. Um, eh? Eh? That's where the issue is. And that's because this is not. There is a line feed here. But here we're asking no line feed. And then maybe one at the end. So no line feed. So, but if we do S here, then we end up with this, which this works. Exactly. That one's gonna work, that one is gonna work. But that's gonna be an issue exactly when we're going to end up on the blank lines, on the empty lines. That's where the issue is. That means this needs to go, and we have to test. The result is the same, but we don't want to take care because we're gonna need later to make the comparison between where is the next beginning of the sentence and where is the next end of the paragraph. And then depending on this, we're gonna do something different. So it makes no sense to have it here. That is at least clear that we don't take care of the paragraph boundaries here. Now this is gonna work. This is gonna stop here. This is gonna stop here. And then it's gonna stop here, which is like, no, you're supposed to stop here. But why? This is not the end of the sentence. No, but this is the paragraph boundary, so you're gonna stop here. And then if we do like same. For him is the same, but like we're gonna arrive here is like, okay, where is the next sentence, beginning of sentence? It's here. Okay, but where is the next paragraph boundary? Ta-da! It's here. Then we go to the closest one, which is gonna be the paragraph boundary. So yeah, we need to split this. So this ends up being more, not really more complicated, but this is what happens basically constantly when I work on new motions. And this is why it's very important to have like this huge list of tests. Yeah, those ones are KV, but KV is like what, 3008 just for the engine. When it comes to, in particular, the accessibility strategy, there's like 1,000 like UI, and those ones are like unit tests, but there's like a lot of UI tests or so. Actually, you can see on YouTube, there has to be, I think there's a video of this. The test, it's 30 minutes of test. Yeah, the UI tests. Wow, 8 likes. Awesome. Wow. It's like with Wuxi. So that's why it's important to have like those tests and see where are all the issues. And then because developing motions requires me to have knowledge about that motion, which is uh, I mean, I'm going to develop the move according to my current knowledge. But like in this case, for example, then I learned something later. I found that there's bugs, and then I found that there's stuff I didn't really understand. Now I know it's like a paragraph boundary that goes also the sentences, and then also my knowledge of Swift changes and my knowledge of macOS APIs changes and my knowledge of regular expression changes. So I need to be able to have fun and uh, changing whatever I want from within the code without, like, with knowing, like, without breaking anything, and making sure I know that I'm not breaking anything. So that requires like tests. So like all the tests that check if that check if my code fulfill the expectations, like for example, so what was it earlier? Did we change this? Yeah, so let's remove this for now. And this, I think there was one that was, oh yes, if I do like this, so that's going to fail some of those. I saw some that tests exactly if there's no space. Is there another one that requires at least one space after delimited? So it's not just like, oh, I think it works. Oh, if I do, so how is it? I'm like, oh yeah, it works. Yeah, but actually, like, no, because that shouldn't be valid. So all the tests make sure that this happens. That this is clear to me that what I do doesn't break. So that makes kind of Vim better and better, like more and more robust, more and more like close to reality, to what Vim is doing, what people are expecting. Expecting things to work. Um, so let me think. What do I have to do? I have my conclusion here. My conclusion is gonna be I need to add a test, but I think I have this right. Another bug. There's yes. So I'm gonna have to add the tests here, and then I'm gonna have to add the other. Let me check. Oh, wait. So I had this plus, and I had and this. Let's see if that breaks. Oh no, all the tests were passing, so I need to create a new test. Yeah. So I'm gonna add this. Um, there's a space. But wait, what? I don't have. I don't even have this test. And that's you're not on the empty line, right? So you're. So I didn't test like the basic one. Huh, interesting. Um, Oh no. Okay, I think I'm getting tired now. No, this one is gonna work. It was if I change to this, that's not gonna work. Yeah, but so the plus here, the plus here, and this that should. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I'll have to test this. This is a line feed, so that. Yeah, because he's asking for. That's why we're gonna need this instead. Yeah. Oops. Plus. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna have to split. So we need to still do the write the test. Okay. So the next conclusion, actually, before working on that one, is that so that took a few days of working on this and making changes and writing new tests and fixing the bugs and spending time in Vim to see how Vim behaves and in the docs to realize that okay, I need to split this. It's gonna make things much better. And then after I do this, I will have this move, hopefully all good. Then I need to work on this move. And then once those two ones are clean, then I can work on the inner sentence and a sentence that I will then use with the change, delete, yank, and visual, which means is it going to be here? ASKV and then, for example, CIP. So that's going to be then I will have something like this, for example, public font. Okay, so CIS, blah, 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 blah. And then I will have this, and I will have my function. So inner sentence range equal element dot file text dot, and then it's going to be inner sentence starting at element caret location, and then we'll have all those stuff. What needs to be, yeah, one thing is to do the move, like not the move, but the inner thing. Like you have a piece of text, you're at a certain location. From there, what is the inner sentence? And then you have to do all the rest specific to the motion. So like CIS is going to be different from DIS, is going to be different from VIS, blah, blah, blah. So probably in this case, so we take the inner paragraph range, the text, let's move bit. So that means that if we can't find a sentence, like in this case, a paragraph, Vim doesn't There's no bell, there's no beep, there's no, it's not an issue for Vim, because depending on whether it's an issue or not, it's going to affect the next moves. The last Yang style, so is that going to be same? Because when we're going to pass paste later, depending on the last Yang style, it's going to be different. Then we copy the text, so the sentence, remove trailing line feed, like I'm not sure in the sentence, we're going to have to see. And then we'll have to do a bunch of deleting blanks. Maybe there's something, I don't know. Then the calculation of the new card location, the new length of the selection, and then if it's a naughty family, which means if it's a PGR or electron, then we have to do something special, which is like apply a delete or paste, which rather than is changing the text according to the accessibility strategy or the accessibility API, we're going to need to use a keyboard event, because um, I don't know if it's a bug in Apple's APIs or what, but that's what we need to do. We can't modify the text, so we have to find other ways to delete or paste text. So yeah, there's still a lot of work, and that's going to be tested also. For example, that one as CIP UI. So there is some unit tests, and then there are some UI tests. So the UI tests are gonna check that all the moves, all the cases work, basically, like literally by testing them. That's way slower on Tau. Interesting. Oh, that's for the PGR to test in browsers. Yeah, and that works. Good. So the next work is to get back to this and split this and change the whole code of this, basically. I mean, add the new tests and split this so that all the tests pass. And then this, and then once this is done, then we attack the. We're also going to attack like the Vim engines. Uh, is this gonna work? To dispatch the keystrokes and to dispatch the pending motion. And yes, so it's gonna be somewhere UI tests the moves as it's gonna be around here CIS and the PQRS. So right after that one. Eh. Um, and for the calculation themselves, it's gonna be in the text objects. In the text, so this is oh yeah, index strategy, because there's way more. Oh, we're not gonna be able to open it, yes, because it's open here. Because of course, for example, for the CIP to be able to write some code like this, there's a lot of stuff that has been done before, so that I wrap all the things from Apple in Apple's data in my own structure. So for example, this, like the accessibility element, Then, so the inner paragraph, how do you get it? Of course, it's something like this. What is an element? I've seen that. Copy to clipboard, blah, blah, blah. What is a file line? Exactly. What is a file line? Well, it's a file line. That means it's a line that is based on text, not on visual, not on something visual. So that's how you end up here, like this at the end of the text, rather than this that would makes you at the end of the screen if you're dealing with a proper app. Um, Screen line, column number, file line, column number. Actually, I'm saying like dealing with the proper app, but that depends on the word wrapping. Can we wrap here? Wrap lines. So yeah, that's gonna be the difference. Oh, still doesn't. Thought it would work. So still a lot of work. This, but once we finish those ones, then we will go in Canadian engine, add the thing, and then we call them, and then we test them. Still a few weeks of work. Yeah, at least I know what I have to do next. So that's perfect. That's a few more days of fun before finding out what's the next thing. But I think until I finish those moves, I know the way. Um, yeah, this to redo, the test to add, this to redo, this to redo, then an inner sentence, then a sentence, like those ones, like the paragraph and inner paragraph. Once this is done, then we can go to create those moves, CIS, CAS, etc. And then once they are done and tested, we integrate them in KV's engine, which we will also test that it's called properly. Yeah, it's about a few weeks, maybe 2 months. Yeah, 6 to 8 weeks of work. It's gonna be fun. So thanks for asking. Thank you for well, thank you. Sorry for the I'm gonna fuck up the name, but RHVDG for asking for that, because it's gonna be it's definitely the most pleasurable work that I have to, or that I do on KV, like building new motions and making um, the whole group of moves, better. Um, and that were like two first years of that project, and that was the best time I had. The When I started adding the license and the payment, that was the most boring. And after that, that was still like very good for a few years until last year and the Tau release. But hopefully, it's gonna get better. At least I know for those next few weeks, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So cool. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed.